Hello my friends, I'm back with another video. I've had some camera issues over the past little while. Hopefully that's been resolved. It looks like it. Hopefully, fingers crossed, touch all forms of wood. The last video I kind of looked at the difference between outcome focused versus task focused individuals. And I'm going to explore it a little bit more, but more so now introducing strategies, mostly in like a sports coaching environment where these strategies can be implemented. Rather than just kind of looking at the definitive difference and the different types of people and what the characteristics of those are, I'm going to look at how, as a coach, you can create the environments for people to become more task-oriented, more kind of process-focused. And you know, look, it doesn't just apply. It never does just apply to sports. It can apply to anything that requires effort being put in. So the first one I'm going to look at is basically creating a mastery-orientated environment. Okay. So Carol Ames, or Ames, I'll put it down here. Basically found that we when we reward effort and learning, athletes stay more motivated compared to if we just reward results. So let's say you're playing a football game, and you know somebody scores a bunch of goals. If you praise the person who scored the goals, that's kind of the results, right? But other sort of transferable skills, communication, positioning, decision makings, how they worked and operated under pressure, tends to gain better results or more reliable results in maintaining the athlete's motivation. So kind of creating that, shifting that dynamic when we're giving feedback from you won, you did well, or you lost, you did poorly, to, you know, look, that piece of play that you did, that action there was really, really good, because then they'll be more invested in that. They'll focus on that and they'll think, okay, how can I create a situation where that happens again? And they work to build towards that. Another one is using autonomy supportive coaching. Okay, and basically all that means is creating an environment where athletes or performers or individuals feel like they have a choice in their development. I did a video a little bit further back, a little while ago. It was kind of impromptu, but it was about the kind of the adaptability within coaching. And I think that's a big thing. You know, if you as a coach, you go into a team environment or even working with one individual, and you have one set structure, this is how I'm going to do it, this is how you are going to do it, you must follow me, it's my way or the highway, I think you're going to be, one way or another, you're going to be met with a bit of resistance. Whereas I think if you kind of communicate and talk with your individuals, you may be able to uncover kind of some areas of strength and some areas of weakness, and play to those strengths and work on those weaknesses with them, you know, and being able to kind of have that dialogue with your individual and with your participants to say, you know, what do you want to improve upon? What is your goal here? What do you want to get better at? And then what are you already good at? Because then we can, like I say, we can lean into that. You know, something I've tried is kind of using two different drills that will work a similar aspect of their. This was in a rugby environment of a similar aspect of their rugby playing, and I've given two options. One is maybe one is contested with an opposition, the other is just uncontested, you know. So you could have a passing drill where they're just moving it along the line, because they want to improve on their ability to pass the ball and move it along quite easily without any pressure, and just really kind of go through and understand how they're to do that the best way that they can. And then, you can give them the option of, we can do that, or we can add a person in to add some pressure. And a lot of the time, when you're working with kids, they want that added pressure, because they like the kind of as close to a game state as possible. So that usually works quite well. It feels like the athlete has a say, or the individual has a say in their own development, which I think is a big thing. I think is a very big thing. The next one is set process and performance-based goals. Okay, so this one's quite practical and powerful. And so the research shows that process goals improve focus and reduce anxiety, because they're not looking at, if I don't win this game, I've done a bad job. Something like that would heighten kind of performance-based anxiety, because you're going to be scared to make a mistake. You're going to be worried about dropping the ball, or just losing. So you're not going to be focused on how you can win, if that makes sense. You're then focused on not losing. And so the anxiety levels just spike. Whereas kind of looking at the process and, okay, how do we play? Like, again, if in a football environment, for me, it would be something simple like, if you're working with kids, okay, let's connect 5 passes together for this attacking sequence, let's say, rather than let's score a goal. It brings all of the team in. It makes everybody feel like they're involved. They've got that kind of autonomy, and they're playing a role in the progression of the team. Whereas if you're kind of, let's just score a goal, chances are the best player in the team is going to take it upon themselves and think, okay, I'm going to be the one to do this. I'm going to be the one to score the goal. I'm going to be the one to carry it forward. And then, you're probably sacrificing the development of other people for a result, and coaching isn't about the results, particularly at a young age. It is about that progression, and it is about that development. So something that you could do is setting 1 to 2 process goals before your next training session, and see what happens. Whether it's kind of decisions based within a structure that you work within for your team, effort based. If you're running a fitness session, how much output you're kind of looking for that for that situation. Just something like that gives your individual something to kind of think about and always kind of take over with, and always remain focused for in that session. Then at the end of the session, you can feed back, which does kind of brings me to the next point with regards to kind of encouraging self-reflection. It's an easy way to just aid your improvement, just as simple questions. I think as a coach, you always want to start with the positives. So what went well, and open a dialogue up to whether it's your team or your individual. Allow them to tell you what they think they did well. Reinforce that, and then add any other aspects that you think they could do with improving. Not they could do with improving. Other aspects that they did well. Apologies. So they tell you what they did well. You reinforce that, and then if they've missed anything, you just continue to reinforce it. Well, yeah, you did do this well, but you also did this well, and I was happy to see that. The next questions would be kind of then like, what would you learn, or what did you learn, and what would you improve upon the next time? So they've had the kind of the idea of what they did well, what went well. Great, cool. That's already compartmentalized, that's compounded, superb. And then kind of thinking about kind of getting the wheels moving about, what could I improve upon? And using that information as well as what you did well to kind of build upon the next step. So if, for example, look, I played the ball in a football environment, I played the ball into space well, I ran into space well, and I felt my crosses were quite good, but I ran out of energy in the 75th minute. So the element that can be improved for the next time is the fitness. So it then gives them something that they can aim for and they can improve upon and build on for the next time they play a game. So it allows them to have that opportunity for reflection. Some people encourage journaling. Every so often I myself will do a little bit of journaling. Kind of just whether a reflection on how the week went, what I'd like to achieve for the following week, how I'd like to set out and do that, different things like that. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but I think as long as you're initiating some form of opportunity for them to look at what they've done and reflect upon that, I think you're in a good place. And then the last one is normalizing or reframing failure. I'm not too sure about the whole normalize failure, but reframing failure I like as a term. It's just the whole term of like, I don't lose, I learn kind of thing. And that's it. It's encouraging, particularly kids and young athletes, that failure is going to be part of the journey. You're not just like success isn't just consistently linear. It's like you will reach bumps and you will come across elements of failure in some area or some aspect of your life, whether it's within sport or whether it's elsewhere. And so it's just part of the process. So the best thing you can do is really learn from that failure and reflect about what went well, or what brought it to that point in which things didn't go so well. So it was a lady called Carol Dweck. She kind of did her research on what I'd mentioned in my previous video with regards to growth mindset. This kind of does tie into growth mindset. If you have that element of growth mindset, or you're encouraging it, you will see failure as an opportunity to improve. And that's the main aspect of it, is to not push that kind of like closed mindset of I failed, I lost. Therefore, in order for me to not feel like this, I shouldn't compete, I shouldn't do this again. Instead, kind of framing it as, well, yeah, mistakes happen, but it's also how we grow, because then we get the opportunity to reflect, to look back on them, and with the right steps, put them right, and continuing kind of moving forward. And that's all within the process that you will go through of mastering whatever skill or aspect it is. So yeah, that's kind of it. Just to clarify, first point, mastery over outcome. Create an environment where they can be invested in improving on a skill, mastering a skill rather than the outcome of a skill. Supporting athletes in their autonomy of their own development, allowing them to have a say on their development. They'll feel more involved in their development. Setting process goals, rather than I want you to score this many goals. It's more of a it could be a team set that allows people to have a role within the process and in the team achieving that goal, and they take part in the process of that. Constantly encouraging self-reflection, like after they've played their game, after they've had their training. What went well? What did we do well? Let's have the first thing. What we'll do is we'll have a chat about that, and then what do you think we've learned, or what do you think we could improve upon? And then the final one was just reframing that failure, encouraging, again, young athletes or individuals to not see failure as a setback, but more just a part of the journey to that initial skill mastery. Really fun kind of, because the more I do this, this sort of stuff, the more I think about it myself and look to implement it more within my day-to-day. Whether it's myself when I'm coaching and working with clients of kind of any ages, or just for myself and my own kind of endeavors, you know, with whether it's with my rugby, with my boxing, with my strength training, with my football. I've really found it to be helpful in kind of just giving myself a different mindset. I've always very much been, you know, if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it well, and in order for me to enjoy it, I need to be good at it. And that's total outcome processed, because I'm not focused on outcome orientated. That's because that's not focused on the process. That's not focused on the task mastery. It's focused on me being good at it to enjoy it. But how am I going to get good at it if I'm not thinking about how I'm going to get good at it? So now there's kind of like, I've had like an entire reframing of how I see my skills and my own improvement, in particularly in the sports aspect, is just go do these things as much or as little as you want to. Find your kind of your flow with it, enjoy it, try different things, and at the end think about, okay, what did I enjoy? What do I think I did well with? And then what am I going to look to improve upon for the next time? And it's just helped me to relax. You know, it's helped me to relax. It's helped me to get over this somewhat of an obsession with succeeding, and instead I'm just having fun with it. So yeah, if any of that stuff kind of stood out to anybody out there watching, feel free to let me know in the comments. Give me a like, give me a subscribe. I'm TrainMore97 on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, the usuals. If there's anything you'd want to discuss privately, my DMs are open. If you've got any ideas, anything that you yourself would like me to investigate or kind of look a little bit more into, by all means, just shoot me a message or leave a comment on the video. And yeah, thank you very much for your time. I hope you learned something, hope you picked something up. Remember, this doesn't always just apply to sport. It can apply to a vast, wide range of aspects. Okay, so have a wonderful day, guys, or a wonderful evening, depending on where you are. Look out for yourselves, look out for each other, and I will see you soon.